Okay, good afternoon, guys. We're back and it's science time. Hmm, what's our objective today is I can investigate how the external characteristics of an animal are related to where it lives. Hmm, I have a big word highlighted here. External characteristics. What do we think that means, Nyla?
That means that like the animals like their home the way it is.
Okay. Anybody want to add to that? External characteristics. What are characteristics? We talked about characteristics before. Anybody remember? The way the way someone looks, right? We talked about the characteristics of a plant, right? And we were able to describe the parts. Well, now we're going to be able to describe the way animals look from the outside and how it relates to where they live. So the way they look, if you pay attention, Nyla, put that away. If you look at them, you'll find out where they live by some of their parts and how they look. Okay, that's what we're going to learn today. External characteristics, right? Body parts or features on the outside of an organism. Remember, we learned the word organism before, right? Which means like a thing, a person. And we have two pictures here. We have a giraffe and they're pointing at the long neck. I wonder why they need a long neck, right? And because they eat from trees.
Because they're not a carnivore, they're
Herbivores. Yeah. And here's a cat and it has sharp claws. I wonder why those sharp claws. Why do cats have sharp claws?
their owners don't do their nails.
Well, that's one thing because the owners don't do their nails.
Because they don't like when they do their nails.
Yeah.
They can scratch you.
Cats don't like their nails cut. That's right. So they can climb.
They can protect themselves by.
So they can protect themselves. Yes. You guys have great answers. That's right. Yeah. Yeah, maybe for protection. You're right. And many animals have certain parts for that, for for uh for protection or to be able to eat or to prey. To prey is to if they eat other animals, for them to be able to catch other animals to eat. Let's read about that. Animals have different body coverings that help them to survive. This is one type of external characteristics. External means outside, okay? External, outside. This is one type of external characteristics that an animal has. An animal's external characteristics are unique for where it lives. For example, let's read this and listen closely. For example, polar bears have a thick white coat to help them stay warm in a cool environment. What do you think would happen if bears didn't have that thick coat? They would probably freeze to death. If I compare the polar bears to humans, to people, imagine if we didn't have our thick coats in the winter and socks. We would be freezing. That's right. Yeah, imagine being out in the snow without the clothes. Well, the same thing would be with the bears, right? Without their coat, it would feel like, Nyla, put that away. It would feel like we didn't have clothes and we were outside, you know? When is the only time where we can probably be really, really light, like maybe just wear a bathing suit and we would feel okay?
Summertime.
In the summertime. So imagine in the winter. Oh no, imagine wearing a bathing suit. We don't do that. We don't go to the beach, right? Because it's so cold. So since animals don't wear clothes, they have external characteristics that help them stay safe, like the fur. So I want you to think, can you look at an animal's body covering to determine where it might live? Well, if you look at a white, furry polar bear, where would you say it lives? Somewhere really, really cold. In the South Pole? Okay, probably. Yeah, because imagine if with that thick fur, that bear lived in the desert.
In the North Pole.
Ooh, that would be very hot, right? Yes. So we would have to observe our animals and see how they look to determine where they live. Okay. We're going to learn a little bit more about those characteristics that we see in the animals, okay, to identify things.
Hello, my name is Kylie, and welcome to Fur, Feathers, Scales, or Skin. All living things have different types of things covering their bodies. Let's learn about the different kinds. Ready to go undercover to find out more? Let's get started. Do you know what the covering or outside of your body is called? It's not a sweater, t-shirt, dress, or pants. It's skin. Human beings have skin covering our bodies. Take a look at the skin on your arm. What do you notice? What are some words you can use to describe your skin? Did you say smooth? Our skin is smooth most of the time because it is not bumpy. It can be a little bumpy if you get goosebumps. Goosebumps happen when we get a chill or get excited. We call them goosebumps because they look like the skin of a goose without their feathers. We have skin to protect our bodies from the outside world and to keep us from getting sick. Our skin also helps us to keep warm in the winter and cool in the summer. What about the skin of different kinds of animals? Let's take a look at a rabbit. What do you notice? Rabbits, yes, have fur covering their skin. Fur is made up of a lot of hair. We have hair on our bodies too, but not as much as a rabbit. Rabbit fur is soft and cuddly. They have this fur to keep them warm in the winter and protected from rain and bugs in the summer. Here is an antelope. They have hair covering the skin on their bodies, but their hair is not very soft. If you were to rub it, it would feel rough and not cuddly at all. This rough hair helps the antelope keep dry and cool in the summer, like a sunshade, and warm in the winter, like a warm coat. They don't have to change clothes like us. Neat. Let's see. What has feathers? Did you say birds? Right, good job. Birds have covering feathers all over them. Their feathers grow out of their skin and are made out of the same stuff as fingernails. Feathers do a lot of different things. Most birds, like this blue jay, use their feathers to fly. I bet you know the name of this bird that uses its feathers to swim and not fly. Yes, you're right, it's a penguin. Penguins also use their feathers to stay warm and dry too. Ducks use their feathers to fly and to help them stay afloat on top of the water. Lizards, snakes, and fish have very different coverings than humans, rabbits, birds, and other animals. They have scales. Scales are also made up of the same thing our fingernails are made up of. Snake scales are not slimy like most people think. They're smooth and can be made of very beautiful colors. Snake skin has scales to help protect the snake if it were to get attacked or rub up against something rough. Their scales are like armor on a knight. Lizards also use their skin in this way. As lizards and snakes grow, they must shed their skin and grow new skin. Their scales cannot grow bigger, and that is why they must grow new ones. Fish also have scales. They do not shed their skin like snakes and lizards. Their scales grow as they get bigger. Look at this fish called a tarpon. An older tarpon scales can be as big as your hand. Insects do not have skin, feathers, fur, or scales as a covering. They wear their skeletons on the outside. Wow! Their covering is called an exoskeleton. Exo means outside. So the next time you see a cricket, like this one, you are seeing her skeleton. Insects use their exoskeleton to stay safe. They shed or molt this outer skeleton like snakes because it doesn't grow bigger than the insect. Learning about the different types of animal coverings sure is interesting. What kinds of living things are near you? Do you know what type of coverings they have? Fur, feathers, scales, or skin? Practice what you learned using our fun online games and quizzes. Remember to always be clever.
Okay, so that video showed the characteristics of different animals, right?
Yes.
How some have feathers, some have fur, you know, and the different skins. So now we're going to talk about what do they use some of those parts and characteristics, okay? For example, oops, it just took me out. Sorry about that. Okay, for example, these birds. Look at this bird. He's different. Look at his beak. Look at how long the beak is.
Look at how long his nose is.
We know that birds have wings covered with feathers that help them to fly, right?
Yeah.
We know that birds have beaks to use them to do what? I wonder what the beak's for. Exactly, to obtain their food, for building their nest because they don't have fingers, right? For digging, for climbing, and for protection. If you try grabbing a bird, it might start try to bite you with their beak, right? They also have special shaped feet. Birds all have special shaped feet that are used for walking or grasping or climbing or perching, digging, or some swim.
Or if you want to grab one and hurt it, they can just peck you.
Yeah. Many of the parts of this animal is used for survivor, right? And they use their nest for shelter to protect themselves. Okay. Let's see some animals, what they use their parts for. And then we'll look at these different animals. Keep in mind how they look. This one with the long peak. Okay, look at this one. His peak is shorter, but it looks sharper, look. And then this one, it's a little bit bigger and longer and kind of looks like a scoop. So keep in mind on all those animals.
What do you do with a tail like this? By Steve Jenkins and Robin Page. Animals use their noses, ears, tails, eyes, mouths, and feet in very different ways. See if you can guess which animal each part belongs to and how it is used. What do you do with a nose like this? If you're a platypus, you use your nose to dig in the mud. If you're an elephant, you use your nose to give yourself a bath. If you're a hyena, you find your next meal with your nose. If you're a mole, you use your nose to find your way underground. If you're an alligator, you breathe through your nose while hiding underwater. What do you do with ears like these? If you're a bat, you see with your ears. If you're a jackrabbit, you use your ears to keep cool. If you're a hippopotamus, you close your ears when you're underwater. If you're a cricket, you hear with your ears that are on your knees. If you're a humpback whale, you hear sounds hundreds of miles away. What do you do with a tail like this? If you're a giraffe,
If you're a giraffe, you buzzy flies off with your tail.
you brush pesky flies off with your tail. If you're a skunk, you lift your tail to warn that a stinky spray is on its way. If you're a lizard, you break off your tail to get away. If you're a scorpion, your tail can give a nasty sting. If you're a monkey, you hang from a tree by your tail. What do you do with eyes like these?
That's my favorite. That's what my favorite is.
The fish is your favorite?
Yeah, that's called a fork-eye fish.
Good job, bud. If you're an eagle, you spot tiny animals from high in the air. If you're a chameleon, you look two ways at once. If you're a four-eyed fish, you look above the water and below the water at the same time. If you're a horned lizard, you squirt blood out of your eyes. If you're a bush baby,
Mommy, what's that?
that's a horned lizard.
I eat horn. What's it? You eat a four-eyed fish.
Okay, bud.
Hi, four-eyed fish.
Hi, horned lizard. If you're a bush baby, you use your large eyes to see clearly at night. What do you do with feet like these? If you're a chimpanzee, you feed yourself with your feet. If you're a blue-footed booby, you do a dance. If you're a
Yes.
water strider, you walk on water.
Mommy, we saw a water strider walk on water.
We did in our pool. If you're a gecko, you use your sticky feet to walk on the ceiling. If you're a mountain goat, you leap from ledge to ledge. What do you do with a mouth like this? If you're a pelican, you use your mouth as a net to scoop up fish. If you're a mosquito, you use your mouth to suck blood. If you're an egg-eating snake, you use your mouth to swallow eggs larger than your head. If you're an anteater, you capture termites with your long tongue. If you're an archer fish, you catch insects by shooting them down with a stream of water. The end.
Okay, so we've learned a lot of characteristics of different animals and what they use them for. Okay. So now, what do you
What
think?
do you do with a tail like this?
What do you
If I
think?
steeped
Where do some of these animals live depending on their characteristics? Nyla.
Some animals, and they live on the ground for food. If people drop their food, they live on the ground and they pick them up, and wherever the hole is, they put it in their hole.
Okay, like for example, from these fishes, birds, which one do you think might live close to the water? The last one, why do you think he would live closer to the water than the other ones? Well, this one has the beak like to hold something, maybe a fish, right? Let's see what they have. Well, this one has a long, thin beak for picking seeds. This one has short, sharp, and curved beaks for tearing into flesh. So that means that he needs this for meat, right? And short, wide beak for scooping up food from the water. So that means that this one might live close to the water, right? Because, I mean, if it's the beak is a characteristic that can grab, scoop stuff from the water, that means it lives by the water. Yeah. If we look at a fish, well, we know that all fish live in water, but look at the characteristics. It needs the fin to fly, right? The gill to breathe underwater, right? So let's look at some of these. My friends at home, you can help me online, and everybody else should have a little paper and you can match. Let's match first. Look at the picture and let's think where they could live. Look at the way they look, okay? And the characteristics that you've learned about some of those animals. Picture sure. Hurry up. Take your pencil and make a line to the animal and where you think that animal lives. Aiden. Just sit there quietly. Okay, look at the animal and think, where does that animal live? Look at the fish. Look at the fish. Look at the giraffe. Look at that long neck. Look at the bear with the hair. Where do you think that animal lives? Yeah, where do you think that animal lives? And make a line to the picture where you think it lives. Okay? Go check if it's over there. Okay. Okay, we're going to check it in just a little bit. Remember that some of these animals have those characteristics to survive in wherever they live, right?
Yeah.
Everything, all their characteristics are basically for survival. Okay. Hope everybody was able to complete it on their own. Now let's see my friends at home. Where do you think this fish lives? See my friends at home? Let's see. I see Angelique raised her hand. Where did this fish live?
In the water.
In the water. That's right. So everybody should have an error going that. Okay. One of my friends at home. A giraffe. Where does the giraffe live? I see. I said my friends at home are helping me. Who else is raising their hand at home? Anybody at home that wants to answer? Jonathan, where does the giraffe live? Jonathan, you're on mute. Unmute so that you can.
The third one?
The third one. And they usually, oops. They live in Africa, right? Where there's the palm trees.
Yeah.
Because they eat from those trees. So they have long necks.
That's why they eat from the long trees.
That's right. Okay, let's see who else. One of my friends at home. Who else wants to do the last one? A polar bear. Where does the polar bear, my friends at home?
Arctica.
Up in the cold weather, right? Yes, the first one. Okay, great job. Now I want you to turn your little paper. My friends at home, you can grab a piece of paper, but my friends here in the classroom, turn the paper around and think about your favorite animal. Okay, think about your favorite animal, and I want you to draw it and the area where they live and label which characteristics. Okay, turn it around to the blank piece of paper. Yes. Okay, and think about that animal that you really like. What is special about that animal? And what does it need to live? Which external characteristic can you tell me that helps the animal live where it lives? Okay. Spell what? So who? What did you say, Vin? Hot, H-O-T, hot. For example, I'm thinking, the animal that I'm thinking of is an elephant. Okay. And the elephant has a long trunk, right? Long, like big trunk. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, I'm gonna post the elephant. Okay. And okay, this is my favorite animal because I love gray. Okay. And two things that I'm going to point out on my animal is the trunk, the long trunk it has. You know what that trunk is for? What do you think this is for? One of my friends at home.
To eat.
to eat. Well, they use it like to, yeah, they use it like a hand, right? They grab things and then they put it in their mouth. They drink with it. They drink water through it.
And then they spit water out.
What about the big, thick, teeth it has? It's like teeth.
Or it's super long.
Yeah, those are for him to defend himself from other animals.
He doesn't
So those are two things that I like about the elephant.
so strong.
Yes, it's really strong. It's like they use that trunk like their hand, right? They move it to defend themselves and they drink with it. So that's a characteristic from the trunk, and it needs it for survival, right? Because without it, they would probably not be able to drink water. So I would draw my elephant with that long trunk, and then I would draw grass because they eat grass. So make sure that you show your animal what they're eating, what they eat for survival. Okay.
I get this. And it doesn't like anybody else except for its family. The elephant.
The elephant is, yes. You know, I like the way that when I see an elephant mom, it always has its babies with her.
Yeah, like,
So I like that too. You guys finish your animal?
yeah. Yeah.
My friends at home, did you choose an animal? And did you draw where it lives? No. Does somebody want to share? Raise your hand. Somebody want to share your picture? Mia, bring me your picture. Let's see.
It's a polar bear and a baby polar bear.
Oh, great. Okay, so Mia, let's see. Mia drew a polar bear with a polar bear baby. And
North
she
Pole.
drew the bear in the North Pole.
And
Okay.
there's little mountains and water with its cold water.
It's cold water. Great
Yes.
job. Okay, let's see who else is sharing their favorite animal. Veda, bring it over here.
I do a giraffe and monkey.
Okay. Veda drew, let me see, I'm trying to log on, but. Okay, so Veda drew a giraffe and monkey. And she drew trees where the monkeys climb.
A bush.
Yeah, trees and bananas.
The monkey did
And
a
there's the
banana.
giraffe with the long neck. Great job. So the long neck is to eat. Great job. Who else wants to share? Let's see. Vin, come here. Anybody at home?
I do.
Okay, Vin has a family of giraffes, right? They're all together. And look at the long necks. They all have long necks and the trees are here. And I noticed that the Vin has a son where they live, and so did Veda. She had sons. So that means that they live in the hot weather, right? They live in hot weather. Okay, great job, everyone. I know I would like to share everybody's, but we don't have time for all the drawings. You guys did great.
Because you were tomorrow.
Okay, we're going to continue on learning about the external characteristics of animals. Today we focus on what are those characteristics of the animals, right? But we're going to talk more about where they live. But we started with the different parts and how important they are for every animal. Okay, that completes my science for today. It's time for us to move on to Imagine Math, finish Imagine Literacy. Okay, and start on our assignments.
All right, I'm going to end the meeting. You guys go ahead and start your work.
Bye.
Bye.